Part 6. If the confession fails, chase her bestie. Author, Ren Shenkui Kan Ru Xiahua. Chapter 51. He scanned the classroom roughly, and the faces of most boys and girls in the class were recorded in his mind. Boys were okay, there were only lazy men, no ugly men. As long as they learned to dress up and were a little more confident, no one would be bad. Except for some conceited pretty boys like Zhou Tianyu, other boys were all the same in Li Yuan's eyes. And among the girls in the class, there were no particularly good-looking ones that made his eyes light up, most of them were very ordinary. As for girls, there were still a few who studied computer science, and computer science was not popular at this time because of the economic crisis. There was only one girl who winked at him when he looked over, and her appearance was acceptable, with a pair of charming eyes that seemed to be able to draw silk, especially the uniqueness, which was about to burst out, very promising. Short and big, tall and small, it seems to have always been like this. There are only a few exceptions, such as Xiaoyu or Bai Wuxi and Xiaoyu Liang. The real top-level beauties are all beautiful in all aspects, with flawless faces, figures, and proportions, as if they were carefully carved by Nuwa. Li Yuan suddenly turned his eyes and stopped at a girl in the corner of the wall near the south, attracting his attention. The girl sitting in the corner with her head down seems to have a good profile. This girl is about 10 meters away from Li Yuan. After Li Yuan was reborn, his vision was the final enhanced version of 5.0 plus, and he could see her from a distance. For some reason, she was alone, sitting in the corner of the second row against the wall, wearing ordinary clothes, long pants, long-sleeved jackets, some of which looked like high school uniforms, and washed a little white. She just tied an ordinary ponytail, and her black hair covered her profile. Unlike other boys and girls in the class, they all dressed up and wanted to show their style at a freshman class meeting. When Li Yuan saw this girl, a picture subconsciously emerged in his mind. It was when he was in the first year of high school. He sat in the back row and saw the side face of the girl in front of him. That girl was called Bai Wuxi, the white moonlight that he loved but could not get in his previous life. According to his experience in 2 lives, most girls with this kind of side face are very beautiful. Li Yuan just looked at her for a while and turned his eyes away. It was a bit impolite to stare at her like this. "Brothers, we will meet our instructor in a while. I heard that she is a very sexy and mature queen," Lucia said excitedly, looking out the door all the time. Wu Hao also looked expectant. "Really? How pretty can she be? Is she as pretty as Brother Yuan's girlfriend? You can ask Tianyu about this. He is the designated squad leader and has met our instructor several times." After Lucio finished speaking, he poked Zhou Tianyu with his arm. "Tianyu, who is prettier, our instructor or Brother Yuan's girlfriend?" Before Zhou Tianyu could speak, Li Yuan interrupted, "Don't talk nonsense. I'm still single. If it gets out, what should I do if I can't find a girlfriend? Are you responsible?" Lucio widened his eyes and said, Brother Yuan, you guys are like that, and you still don't admit that she is your girlfriend." Li Yuan raised his eyebrows, stared at Lucia, and laughed and scolded. "Lucia, can you stop talking nonsense? Your butt is itchy again, right? She and I are just ordinary friends." Lucio whispered, Okay, we've kissed each other, but we're still just ordinary friends. If you say so, then so." Zhou Tianyu suddenly said nervously, "Stop talking, the instructor you want to see is here." "Where is she? Where is she? I want to see how beautiful she is." As he was talking, a sexy mature woman wearing a floral dress, high heels, pink lips, about 1.65 meters tall, and with her hair tied up suddenly appeared outside the door and walked in. She walked straight to the podium in the classroom and said with a smile, "Hello, classmates, I'm Chi Siyu, the instructor of your class. You can call me Teacher Chi." The freshmen who had just entered the university were still relatively obedient, and they shouted in unison, "Hello, Teacher Chi." The moment Instructor Chi Siu entered the room, the eyes of the boys and girls in the class were all focused on Chi Siu, and they all whispered in agreement. This is our instructor, she's a little too much." Lucia's eyes widened, with an inexplicable look of surprise. Yijing asked curiously, "Isn't Teacher Chi very nice? How come it's too much?" Lucia murmured to himself, "Teacher Chi is too beautiful. I am obsessed with her." "Damn, Lucia, you pervert, you dare to have ideas about Teacher Chi." Zhou Tianyu glared and slapped Lucia fiercely. Lucia didn't care, but asked, "Tianyu, does Teacher Chi have a boyfriend? She doesn't look much older than us." "You are talking nonsense. Teacher Chi is so beautiful, how could she not have a boyfriend?" Not only boys, but also girls were whispering. "Yanni, I think the instructor looks a bit coquettish. The full makeup is too heavy. There is a sense of charm. She is wearing a short skirt. Zhurong, I think the instructor is pretty. She has a mature and intellectual beauty. Did you see that the boys in our class are talking about it quietly?" Wang Zhurong snorted coldly, "The boys in our class are not only of poor quality, but also average taste. When I came in, there were not so many cheers." "Zhurong, I think you may be wrong," Fang Yani kindly reminded. "What did I do wrong? Teacher Chi is our instructor, and she is very beautiful. Think about it, isn't it exciting?" Chi Siyu tied her hair, and her delicate face highlighted her mature and intellectual beauty. "From today on, I will be your counselor for 4 years of college. I am very lucky to meet you. I hope we can be friends in the future." Some bold boys responded enthusiastically, "Teacher Chi, we are also very lucky. It is a great honor to meet you. Teacher Chi, can I be your male friend?" Chi Siya glanced at the boys who were talking, not caring at all. Instead, she replied with a teasing tone and a smile, "Of course, it depends on whether you dare. Teacher Chi, are you single? Do you need a boyfriend? Teacher Chi, if you don't need a boyfriend, do you mind changing one? Or one more is fine." Chi Siyu did not answer this time. She knocked on the table with the blackboard eraser, and the noise suddenly quieted down. "Classmates, be quiet, the topic has gone too far. Whether the teacher has a boyfriend or not, I will tell you later. Now, please introduce yourselves. By the way, because you are freshmen, you will start military training tomorrow and need to elect an acting monitor. If you want to sign up, you can also make your own campaign speech when introducing yourself." As soon as these words came out, the boys and girls in the audience began to get agitated. The reason why they are wearing fancy clothes today and dressing up and putting on makeup carefully is not just for this once-in-a-lifetime self-show. Chi Siya continued to speak gently, "Which classmate will go on stage first? Ahem, go on stage to show." Chapter 58 Youth Show, Various Self-Introductions, please read. Some people are shy, like Yijing, Suzuki-yang, and others, including Li Yuan himself. Naturally, there are also people who are very happy to show themselves on this stage. Those who dare to be the first to step onto the stage are all true warriors. Zhou Tianyu and another girl suddenly stood up at the same time, raised their hands to Chi Siyu. Zhou Tianyu narrowed his eyes slightly. The girl who stood up was named Xiang Qin Yang Kaiu. She was a very beautiful girl. She had been busy with class affairs with him these days. "Teacher Chi, ladies first, let Xiang Qin come first." Xiang Qin Yang Kaiu looked at Zhou Tianyu in surprise. She also had the idea of being a class monitor in her mind, but she didn't expect Zhou Tianyu to give her this opportunity. "Then please ask Xiang Qin Yang Kaiu to come to the stage and show yourself to other students." Xiang Qin Yang Kaiu walked up to the podium with lotus steps, took the microphone from the instructor Chi Siyu, walked to the middle of the podium confidently, and smiled at the whole class, and slowly said, "I once dreamed that one day I could stand on the podium of the university and introduce myself to all the students. I guess many students have never heard of my last name." Xiang Qin Yang Kai walked to the blackboard, on which were written 4 big characters Xiang Qin Yang Kai. "This is my name, Xiang Qin. My mother said I was born in autumn. That day, the sky was full of red leaves, and the forest was dyed red, which was particularly beautiful." There is also a line in the Tang Dynasty poem Provincial Examination July Fire, under a leaf in the front yard, "I suddenly feel sad about autumn. Standing here is not only to introduce myself, but also to hope that classmates from all over the world can give me a chance to make friends with you. Classmates, I want to run for the acting monitor of our class, and look forward to your support." Xiang Qin Yang Kai's introduction can be said to be perfect. With her face that can be counted among the best in the class, coupled with her generous and well-spoken manners, starting with her own name and ending with making friends, this self-presentation can be said to be very perfect. Li Yuan applauded with other classmates, and his eyes couldn't help but look at Xiang Qin Yang Kai. Although her appearance and figure are a little worse than Bai Wuxi and Zhong Tingyu, she also has her own unique temperament. If she is scored, she can get close to 85 points. She is the most beautiful girl he found in the class. Zhou Tianyu saw that Xiang Qin Yang Kai's self-presentation was warmly welcomed by the classmates, and he couldn't help but get nervous. In his mind, he was determined to become the first monitor of computer class 1. If Xiang Qin Yang Kai, a girl, suddenly appeared and took the position of monitor, it would be a great loss of face. If the confession fails, chase her bestie. Author, Ren Shenkui Ken Ru Xiahua. Chapter 52. Especially Li Yuan, Lucia, and other roommates, they all thought he had already been appointed. If the class monitor position was taken away, he would hardly be able to raise his head in 4 years of college. Chi Siyu waited for the applause to stop, then looked at Zhou Tianyu, and said meaningfully, "Next, please ask Zhou Tianyu to come on stage to show himself." Lucia met Chi Siyu's gaze, and couldn't help but whispered beside Li Yuan, "Brother Yuan, I always feel that Tianyu and teacher Chi have an affair." Li Yuan was speechless and complained, "Don't think so dirty, teacher Chi and Tianyu, obviously have 2 legs, you said that they are disabled." "Damn, brother Yuan, you are still awesome." Lucia was speechless. After Zhou Tianyu came on stage, he bowed to the students in the audience, then took the microphone, came to the middle of the podium, and began to perform his talent. "If we are destined to meet, we will meet each other even if we are thousands of miles apart. If we are not destined to meet, we will not know each other. Today, I am honored to meet with all of you at Xia University. You are all talented people from all over the world. You are better at writing than me. With the example of Xiang Qin, I will not show off my talent. Since I am here, if I don't show my talent, I may miss this opportunity. In order not to leave regrets in my life, I will rap and introduce myself." Rap was not popular in China at that time, and most of the students looked confused. Zhou Tianyu on the stage had already straightened his clothes, unbuttoned them, rolled up his trouser legs, and started his rap performance. "Do you know my name? I'm from Jiangsu province. I love to laugh, love music, love simplicity, love excitement, yo. Yo, I myself, I am just like this. Whether you appreciate it or not, I will still stumble on my own life path without losing my posture. Be myself always." After Zhou Tianyu's exaggerated rap performance, he also performed a street dance. Other classmates in the class also gave warm applause, especially some girls in the class, all of whom stared at Zhou Tianyu with bright eyes and shy faces. Zhou Tianyu heard the warm applause and breathed a sigh of relief. He continued with a confident look. "Dear classmates, I just made a fool of myself here. In the only chance in our lives, good study, Study hard, day up, day up. In addition, I want to say sorry to classmates Yang Qin. I also want to serve you better. I also want to compete for the position of acting class monitor. My handsome brothers, all the beautiful young ladies, please use your precious votes to vote for me. I love you so much. After saying that, Zhou Tianyu boldly blew a kiss to his classmates, and then wrote his name on the blackboard. Lu Jie said sourly, Brother Yuan, brothers, Tianyu is really good. His rap is quite interesting. Damn, this guy really has a trick for us. Li Yuan nodded, and suddenly felt a lot of pressure. My college classmates are both talented and showy. How can I show myself? Qi Siya clapped her hands, glanced at Zhou Tianyu, and chuckled, just now, Tianyu's self-introduction was very interesting. Other students can also learn from it. Now, please invite the next student to go to the podium and show yourself. At the beginning, after students with social attributes such as Qin Yangkaiu, Zhou Tianyu, and Wang Zhirong performed on the stage, some students with social phobia in the audience became a little shy. Then, after someone started, they began to perform on the stage in order. These students with social phobia were naturally not like Zhou Tianyu and others to show their talents. Most of them simply introduced their names, hometowns, hobbies, etc. Li Yuan's eyes stayed on the girl in the corner, looking forward to her self-introduction. He also looked forward to what she looked like. Is she a beautiful woman from heaven as he guessed? Her profile was so beautiful that he felt like he was in his first love with Bai Wuxi in his previous life. Soon, as the students came on stage one by one, it was her turn. Li Yuan stared at her intently, not missing any part, trying to see her true appearance. This girl seemed very shy, and she didn't have the lively feeling of other students. After she came on stage, she kept her head down, almost burying her head in her hair. She is very tall, about 1.7 meters tall. Although she is dressed very tightly, you can see that her skin is very white and her hair quality is also very good. From the profile, she should be the kind without makeup. Li Yuan waited for the girl's self-introduction. Dear readers, this new author is asking for follow-up reading. Chapter 59 Found a Treasure Girl. Please follow up reading. Li Yuan looked at this shy and timid girl, waiting for her performance. Because the presentation time had already passed for more than an hour, the presentations of the students who came later, unless they were particularly brilliant and outstanding, did not attract much attention, and even the applause was sparse. After the girl came on stage and took the microphone, she seemed a little nervous. Li Yuan saw that her body seemed to be trembling slightly. She just raised her head slightly, looked at the audience, and then quickly lowered her head. Classmates, everyone, good morning. My name is Xiaz Haijin, from Shancheng. I love, hobby, reading. After that, Xiaz Haijin nervously handed the microphone to the instructor Qi Siyu, lowered her head and returned to her seat, sitting against the wall, in a daze. If someone was around her, they would be able to see her fairy-like appearance when she lowered her head. She was far better than any other girl in the class. Even compared with Bai Wuxi and Zhong Tingyu, she was not inferior, but even better. She was a treasure girl. Unfortunately, most of the other boys in the class did not pay attention to this shy girl who was dressed in ordinary clothes and stuttered. The focus of their discussion was on Qin Yangkaiu and Wang Zhirong, two girls who knew how to dress, had good figures, were sexy, and had a certain appearance. Who said that men only like 18-year-old girls? When boys are 18, they may prefer mature, sexy, and charming women. Of course, except Li Yuan. Because Li Yuan has been paying attention to this girl, waiting for her to go on stage to introduce herself, so the moment she looked up, he saw the true beauty of this girl. There is such a pure girl. If Bai Wuxi is the first love face of Bai Yueguang, Zhong Tingyu is the goddess, and Zhang Ziyu is the youthful and lively, quirky, and queen. Then this girl named Xia's Haijin is the kind of girl who is absolutely pure to the extreme. In Li Yuan's mind, it has always been the moment when Xia's Haijin looked up. The clear eyes, like a fairy who does not eat fireworks from the world, that unique pure and clean feeling, made him, who had been sealed with cement, loosen up a little. Before her, even when he met Zhong Tingyu and Zhang Ziyu, he did not have this extremely unique feeling. Just like in the previous life, love at first sight, destined in a dream. However, the dream in the previous life has been shattered, which hurt him deeply. If it wasn't for the ideal type in his heart, and his biggest dream, Li Yuan would have completely cut off his relationship with Bai Wuxi after his rebirth, and would not have paid any attention to her at all. But he is a man who couldn't get the love in his previous life, and then sealed his heart with cement and quickly fell. After rebirth, he has no impression of several girlfriends who came after him. Only Bai Wuxi still exists in the depths of his memory. He thought he could forget, but she has already taken root firmly, leaving a thorn that can never be erased. The rotten white moonlight is still the white moonlight. But the look in the eyes of this girl named Xia's Haijin once again stirred up a wave in his heart. I am moved. Damn, I can't avoid her look, Li Yuan muttered to himself, she is such a treasure girl. When Lucia heard Li Yuan's muttering, he asked, Brother Yuan, what treasure girl did you just say? Li Yuan glanced at him and smiled faintly, you heard it wrong, I didn't say anything. Lucia asked in confusion, I didn't hear it wrong, you really didn't say anything? No. Lucia nodded, then I may have really heard it wrong. By the way, Brother Yuan, which of the 24 girls in our class is the most beautiful? Li Yuan asked back, why, which one do you want to pursue? Lucia nodded shyly and whispered in Li Yuan's ear. Brother Yuan, I think Wang Zhurong is pretty, very feminine, especially mature and sexy, the type I like. Li Yuan was also stunned when he heard this, and couldn't help looking at Lucia's head. When he just entered the classroom, he swept his eyes across the class and met Wang Zhurong's eyes. Her eyes were really hooked. Li Yuan's strange eyes gave Lucia goosebumps. He frowned and asked, Brother Yuan, don't look at me like that. I'm scared. Li Yuan asked earnestly, Old Lu, do you like to wear a hat? Lucia didn't understand what Li Yuan meant, why would a boy wear a hat? Only girls would wear one. Li Yuan nodded, it's good not to wear one. I hope you won't wear a hat in the future, especially a green one. Lucia didn't react for a while and muttered, who is so bored that he wears a hat? Brother Yuan, if I go after Wang Zhurong, do you think I can succeed? Li Yuan looked at Lucia strangely. Is he stupid? Can he handle a girl like Wang Zhurong? Do you know how much money a set of clothes, a bag, a bottle of perfume, and a set of cosmetics cost? Besides, from his experience, Wang Zhurong has already experienced it, and is no longer a greenhorn. This kind of girl is easy to pursue, as long as the boy has money and looks. It is also difficult to pursue, because after her experience, her requirements have changed a lot. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. If the confession fails, chase her bestie. Author, Ren Shenkui Ken Ru Xiahua. Chapter 53. If they have more experiences and have a few more different boys, the threshold will be raised very high. Even if they are really together, there will not be much happiness at all. The more mature and sexy they are, the more they have experienced. Of course, you can still try once or twice. At the very least, the fifth girl doesn't have to work hard anymore, and it's cleaner than the ones outside. Of course, Li Yuan doesn't like it now. With his current wealth, ordinary girls would not be able to penetrate his titanium alloy wolf eyes. In a big city like Shanghai, the most indispensable thing is all kinds of beauties. As time passed, it soon became the turn of Li Yuan, Lucia, and others sitting in the last row. Yijing, Wu Hao, and Su Ziqiang simply introduced themselves, including their names, where they were from, and their hobbies, and then hurriedly left the stage. It was Lucia's turn to take the stage, and Li Yuan and others showed interest. This guy had boasted about Haikao in the dormitory before, saying that there would be a creative display, and it made Zhou Tianyu, who was determined to compete for class president, nervous for a while. Now, it's finally Lucia's turn, and everyone in the dormitory is eagerly waiting for it. Lucia, it's your turn, we are all waiting for your creative performance. Yes, I would like to see what creativity you can come up with. Lucia stood up nervously. He was nearly 1.9 meters tall with shoes on, making him the tallest in the computer class. As soon as he stepped onto the podium, he attracted exclamations from other students in the class. Is this also from Zhou Tianyu's dormitory? He's so tall, he must be 1.9, 30 centimeters taller than me, Wang Zhirong asked. Well, they are also from the same dormitory as Zhou Tianyu and Li Yuan. I heard that my family is from Sichuan province. Looking at his clothes, his family background should be very average, not as good as Zhou Tianyu and Li Yuan. Zhirong, is it that important whether the family has money? Fang Yani asked in confusion. Wang Zhirong said as he should, Yani, you don't understand now, but you will know later. Money is really important. The so-called bullshit love is worthless in front of it. Zhirong, you can't tarnish love like this, love is still very beautiful. Fang Yani frowned, feeling speechless, and her tone became stiff. The two were roommates, and Wang Zhirong was generous and taught her how to put on makeup. Wang Zhirong just smiled with a hint of meaning and did not answer. Who hasn't come from such a simple and ignorant character? In this world, the thing that can change a person the most is time. After Lucia came on stage, he took the microphone, looked at the students in the audience nervously, and spoke slowly. Dear classmates, my name is Lucia, and I come from Sichuan province. The first thing everyone thinks when they see me is, yo, I found a stupid guy. But, big guys also have little smarts. The various self-expressions of all the students just now are already in front of you. In order to let the classmates, especially the 24 beautiful, lovely, gentle, sexy, female classmates in our class remember me, I decided to introduce myself in a different way. So, fellow students, please allow me to bring my roommate, who is also my partner, to the stage in a special way. Lucia took the microphone and pointed at Li Yuan, who was still waiting to eat the melon. It's you who are waiting for me, Li Yuan, stand up and show your face to the students. Chapter 60. When you meet a good girl, take the initiative. The eyes of the whole class were instantly focused on Li Yuan, who was sitting in the back row, waiting to see the double performance of Lucia and Li Yuan. Li Yuan was confused. What the hell is this? Lucia, you want to play new tricks, why are you causing trouble for me? Since the rebirth of labor and capital, in addition to wanting to pick up a few more beautiful girls, I just want to make more money, but I don't have time to accompany you to show off. But Lucia obviously didn't think so. He took the microphone and continued to shout at Li Yuan, why are you so coquettish? My good partner, come up here and let the classmates have a look. Being stared at and laughed at by the whole class, Li Yuan felt a little social, and he was really angry at Lucia for being such a fool. But under the attention of his classmates, and he was the only one who did not introduce himself, he had no choice but to stand up. Li Yuan glared at Lucia, looked at the other students with an expression that was 1/3 helpless and 1/3 shy, and said with a wry smile, "Hello, classmates, thank you for your hard work. Don't look at me like this, especially female classmates, otherwise I will think you are in love with me." The same goes for male classmates, especially those boys who play basketball. I am a pure man. If you can't bend it, give up. As soon as Li Yuan's words came out, the boys and girls in the class cheered and covered their mouths and snickered. Everyone thought that this was the effect of the two people's show. Wang Zhirong covered his mouth and chuckled in the audience. Yani, I didn't expect this Li Yuan to be quite interesting. Fang Yani also nodded, it's indeed quite funny, but also quite narcissistic. Wang Zhirong stared straight at Li Yuan and said infatuatedly, this is not narcissism, but self-confidence. He is really stylish. I have decided to give him a chance to chase me. Not only Wang Zhirong, Fang Yani, but also Xiang Tan Yang Kaiu and other girls also stared at Li Yuan curiously. Even Xia's Haijin, who was always shy and was immersed in reading, secretly raised his head, glanced at Li Yuan, and quickly lowered his head. His snow-white jade cheeks were already stained with a layer of pink. Because, when she looked up and peeked at Li Yuan happened to see her and smiled at her. Xia's Haijin's heart was pounding, and her little face was full of doubts. Why did he smile at me? Is this the new idea that Lucia mentioned? It's strange that Li Yuan would agree to it. Zhou Tianyu muttered in a low voice, listening to Li Yuan's answer, with a look of shock in his eyes, and curled his lips. I didn't expect that Li Yuan is also a big talker, talking nonsense, not at all, not as honest as he looks. Wu Hao glanced at him, what gave you the illusion that Li Yuan was very honest? These days, he, Lucia, Li Yuan, and more than a dozen other male classmates in the class often played basketball together. During the passionate collision of muscles, they experienced Li Yuan's trash talk bombardment. Li Yuan always talked about driving, and he could come up with all kinds of jokes at will, so that they all learned a lot of new words. Wu Hao couldn't help but look at Zhou Tianyu deeply, thinking of the conspiracy with Lucia and others, and a strange smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. Zhou Tianyu is very arrogant and a little self-righteous. He always likes to regard himself as the boss of the dormitory. Also, as a second-generation rich man, Li Yuan also has the word high, but his behavior and conversation are very humble and down-to-earth. Tianyu, Li Yuan is very powerful. If he competes with you, you can't compete with him. Zhou Tianyu asked in confusion, what is he competing with me for? Wu Hao smiled and didn't say much. Some people take themselves too seriously, always thinking that everything is under control and they are sure to win. But in fact, things don't necessarily develop in a certain direction. One thing Zhou Tianyu has never discovered is that he has been separated from the masses. No, he has been separated from his classmates. As for Li Yuan, in the past 3 days, he called his college classmates to play basketball together on the basketball court. Although there were only more than 10 boys, they were also a great force. What can convince men is not some insignificant services, but real strength. Coincidentally, Li Yuan has this. I wanted to be the last to appear in a low-key manner, but my strength does not allow it. I will not pretend anymore. I will show my cards. I am the Li Yuan mentioned by the big idiot on the stage. Lucio was on the stage, not caring. He took the microphone and shouted at Li Yuan. Li Yuan, stop dawdling down there. The bench is almost worn out by you. Li Yuan was very upset. MMP, this big guy with a stuffy heart, can he speak? Fortunately, there are far fewer old drivers who can drive now than in later generations, and most people did not understand Lucia's ridicule. Li Yuan stood up, walked to the podium with a carefree look, and glared at Lucia unhappily. Student Lucia, you seem to be a little hungry, so eager for me to come up and beg me to abuse you. Li Yuan is 1.83 meters tall naked, and with basketball shoes, he looks nearly 1.85 meters tall. In addition, because he has been exercising and playing basketball almost every day during the summer vacation, his body muscles are very obvious. If the confession fails, Chase her bestie. Author, Ren Shenkui Ken Ru Xiahua. Chapter 54. When she showed her figure in front of the classmates, especially the female students, she immediately aroused cheers. Among the male classmates, there are also golfers from the past few days who are teasing loudly, "Brother Yun, let Lao Lu see your big baby." Lao Ren, don't say so explicit, I'm afraid Lucia's thin body won't be able to bear it. I suspect you are driving. Be confident and remove your doubts. Li Yun stood up slowly, smiled, clenched his fists, and bent his arms, showing off his strong muscles. Lao Li, stop dawdling, we are all waiting for your talent show. Brother Yun, do you want me to give you a basketball? Let's perform a basketball show and recreate your standing still windmill dunk. As Li Yun stepped onto the podium, Lucia held up the microphone, smiled, and looked at the other students in the class. Hey, classmate Li Yun, let's stand together and compete. Li Yun said speechlessly, Lucia, what's the comparison between the two of us? Let's compare heights first. Lucia took the initiative to stand next to Li Yun. He was 5 or 6 centimeters taller than Li Yun. Students, when I compare with Li Yun, am I taller than him? Wang Zhirong suddenly shouted loudly in the audience, no, Li Yun is taller. Lucia was stunned and said with a smile, classmate Wang Zhirong, am I obviously taller than him? You can't just rely on your beauty to tell lies. Wang Zhirong was extremely bold. While speaking, he kept blinking at Li Yun, making secret glances. Lucia, classmate Li Yun has higher muscle content than you. He has abdominal muscles, but you don't. Lucia compared their figures and found out that he was 5 or 6 centimeters taller than Li Yun, but weighed about 10 kilograms less. Lucia coughed and looked at the other students, ahem, I have a physique that won't make me fat. You girls, don't envy me. Back to the topic, let's get back to the topic. In short, in a word, the reason why I invited Li Yun is because I am the most familiar with him in the class, and I want to introduce myself in a new way so that the classmates will remember us forever. After Lucia finished speaking, he handed the microphone to Li Yun and said with a smile. Classmate Li Yun, before starting the game, I would like to do an interview. Excuse me, who gave you such an awesome name? Does Tang Taizong Li know? Chapter 61 I like soft food but hard food. When Lucia said this, the other students in the class suddenly thought that the name Li Yun seemed a little unusual. Damn it, why is this name so familiar? Isn't it the name of Li Er's father? A boy swore. No, if Lucia hadn't said it, I wouldn't have even thought about it. Li Yun, the founder of the Tang dynasty, had a very low sense of presence in Chinese history. According to historical records, the establishment of the Tang dynasty was mostly due to Li Er, but, I have to say that Li Yun is too courageous. Is there a possibility that we can't come up with our names ourselves? What you said makes sense. Names are given by parents, so I want to know a question now. Li Yun, what is his father's name? I found out that the father of Emperor Jiaozu of the Tang dynasty was Li Nao, Emperor Shizu of the Tang dynasty. Haha, you can ask Li Yun if his father is really called Li Yingjun. I suddenly thought of a question. My surname is also Li, and my name is Li Xiao. There seems to be an emperor in the Tang dynasty, named Li Ye. It made me laugh so hard, ha ha ha, Xiao, I really want to know, what should you call Li Yun when you see him? Huh? Here, everyone is called his own. Li Yun has a sharp ear and eyesight, so he naturally heard the discussions among his classmates. I was extremely speechless. His own name was indeed a bit strange. Generally speaking, people who know a little about history would not give their children such names. However, his father, Li Heng, only graduated from junior high school and went out to make a living. It is normal for him not to know history. And in the Tang dynasty, there seemed to be an emperor named Li Hong, or a descendant of Li Yuan. Mud, don't think about it, you are too inferior. Li Yuan has decided in his heart that his father's name must not be known to his classmates. Lucia, my name was given by my parents. Your question is really boring, Li Yuan said speechlessly. Lucia chuckled and did not continue to ask further questions on this topic. This was only to introduce Li Yuan better and increase the impression of the two of them on the whole class. Old Li, okay, now let's start the official game. It's the game you taught us to play a few days ago, Truth and Dare. Lucia smiled and explained the rules of the game to his classmates. At this time, this kind of gameplay had not yet appeared. When the students in the class heard about it, they all became curious and looked forward to the performances of Li Yuan and Lucia. Li Yuan's heart skipped a beat and he already had a bad premonition. He said quietly, "Can I not choose?" "Of course not. Since it is a novel way of introduction, let me play one question and you one question. We will use a question and answer approach, truth and dare rotation, to play this little game. There are 3 questions in total, so it will take up a little time. Time for everyone." Lucia looked at Li Yuan with a half smile, very curious about what he would choose. Li Yuan asked, "Then why did you ask me first?" Lucia responded as he should, "Because I came on stage first, this is my home court." Li Yuan was speechless. "Then for the first time, I choose to tell the truth, so let you ask first." Lucia had a look of conspiracy, he, "Then I ask, you have to be open and honest with our classmates." Li Yuan raised his eyebrows, feeling uneasy. "What do you want to ask, old man?" Lucia winked at Li Yuan. "First question, Li Yuan, do you have a girlfriend?" The question Lucia asked was not difficult to answer. Not to mention that he really didn't have one. Even if he did, he had to say no in front of the whole class. Because, Xiaozhijin, this treasure girl, was secretly looking at him. Li Yuan glanced at Xiaozhijin secretly from the corner of his eye. When their eyes met, she was like a frightened deer, and she buried her head in an instant. "No, I have been single for 18 years since my mother's birth." Li Yuan answered without blushing, and pretended to be shy like a pure boy when answering. Lucia laughed dumbly. "How can I continue to perform if you answer like this? Damn, I risk my dignity to give you a chance to show off, but you don't cherish it, right? Those 2 girls with fairy-like looks are not your girlfriends, right? Li Yuan, truth or dare, once you choose, you must fulfill it. This is the rule of the game. Are you sure you are telling the truth?" Li Yuan replied in a flowery way, "It really can't be too true. I am really single. The 24 beautiful ladies in the class, if you want to take action, just act quickly. I am easy to pursue, as long as you can take me out for dinner. No, I seem to have forgotten the beautiful, gentle, mature, intellectual, sexy and cute teacher Chi Siu, who is loved by everyone. Flowers bloom when she sees her, and Mazda has a flat tire when she sees her. There are a total of 25 beautiful ladies. I solemnly declare here that I am single." Lucia widened his eyes. "Old Li, you are worthy of your surname Li, you are too bold. It was passed down from our ancestors. You dare to hit the idea of Instructor Chi." A blush flashed across the face of Instructor Chi Siu, and her beautiful eyes could not help but take a deep look at Li Yuan. This handsome freshman was indeed quite talkative. Li Yuan's answer immediately caused a burst of laughter, and a lively girl teased loudly. "Li Yuan, you are a grown man, do you still want to eat gigolos?" Li Yuan looked over and saw that it was Wang Zhurong with hooked eyes who was speaking. She smiled and answered. "Student Wang, I have always been very strong-willed and only like to eat gigolos." Wang Zhurong smiled, handsomely. "Do you want to eat gigolos from me? I can give you a chance." Li Yuan's eyes paused on her deliberately. Her figure was indeed good, at least D-cup, and should be original. It was no problem to feed his 234-month-old child. He would not be hungry, and there was plenty of fresh protein. If they were alone, Li Yuan would not mind training a girl like Wang Zhirong, but in this case, of course, it would not work, especially with Xia's Haijin, the treasure girl, in front of him. Li Yuan pretended to be serious. Thank you for your kindness, classmate Wang. My mother told me that pretty girls are all lies, so I shouldn't fall in love in college. Wang Zhirong was stunned, and instantly realized that Li Yuan was rejecting him, but this approach did not make her back off, but made her more interested in Li Yuan. He, classmate Li Yuan, you are very interesting, I will remember you. I would rather you not remember me, Li Yuan muttered in his heart, and when Wang Zhirong stopped talking, he looked at Lu Jia and asked. Sixth brother, it's my turn to ask a question. Do you choose truth or dare? Lu Jia answered without hesitation, truth. Li Yuan's eyes turned and he thought of a good question. Sixth brother, there are so many cute, beautiful and gentle girls in our class, who do you want to pursue the most? If the confession fails, chase her bestie. Author, Ren Shenkui Kan Ru Xiahua. Chapter 55. As soon as Li Yuan asked this question, everyone's curiosity was immediately aroused. This kind of question and answer introduction is much more interesting than simply introducing yourself. As expected, Lu Jia and Li Yuan, a pair of sleeping dragons and phoenixes, can figure it out. Lu Jia hesitated for a while, his face was red, and he did not answer. He looked at the classmates in the audience, somewhat evasive. Wu Hao was already laughing and urging, Old Lu, answer quickly and tell the truth. When the other boys and girls in the class saw it, they were all snickering secretly and talking quietly. Ha ha ha, Lu Jia has really shot himself in the foot. Look at the way he is blushing. There must be a girl in his heart. He really wants to know who that girl is. They are brave enough to dare to play such a game in the freshman class meeting. If it were me, I would die immediately. However, it is quite interesting to watch their performance, just like watching a two-person skit. It's indeed interesting. You can see that the instructor, Teacher Chi, is also watching it with gusto. It turns out that there is such a pattern for college freshmen to introduce themselves. Why didn't I think of it? Haha, I just thought of it. Do you dare to try it? Is there anyone to cooperate with you? I'm sorry, what you said seems to make sense, but I'm speechless. Sisters, guess who Lu Jia will choose? Or will he just tell lies? In my opinion, Lu Jia will definitely lie. There is no girl he likes in his class, or the girl he likes is in another university. Zhirong, you better understand boys. Oh, men are all like bears. Seeing that Lu Jia was hesitant to speak, Li Yuan urged him teasingly, Lao Lu, hurry up, you can't afford it, haha. Lu Jia was aroused by Li Yuan's words, and her brain became hot, so she answered loudly. I want to chase Wang Zhirong. Chapter 62 Li Yuan, who will you choose? As soon as Lu Jia said such brave words, the whole class was in an uproar. This Han De he is really brave. I'm sorry, Lu Jia actually said it directly. Can't he lie? Some boys' eyes were as wide as copper bells, and they couldn't believe that Lu Jia would directly blow himself up. Some other boys responded bitterly, this Lu Jia, as always, really likes Wang Zhirong, but he has really good taste. Wang Zhirong is the sexiest and most beautiful one in our class. Wu Haoei looked at Li Yuan and Lu Jia in amazement, with an expectant expression on his face. Wow, old Lu, he is so brave. I am really looking forward to how Wang Zhirong in the audience will respond after hearing this. Is this the truth and dare game? It's quite interesting. But what if someone tells lies? Fang Yani touched the person involved. Wang Zhirong, with a look of anticipation on her face, wanting to see how Wang Zhurong would answer. Just now she was telling her roommate that she liked Li Yuan better and was ready to give him a chance to pursue her. In the blink of an eye, Li Yuan's roommate confessed his love in front of the whole class. "Zhurong, the rest of the class is looking at you." Wang Zhurong stood up gracefully, not shy at all like other freshman girls. In full view of everyone, he looked at Lucia on the stage and spoke softly. "Classmate Lucia, you are really discerning and a good person. I can give you a chance to chase me. However, whether you can catch me depends on your efforts. Come on, young man." After saying that, Wang Zhurong gave Lucia an encouraging look and sat down quietly amidst the noisy discussion of the whole class. "Wow wow wow, what did I see?" Wang Zhurong responded positively to Lucia. Does this mean he agreed to Lucia's pursuit? No, this is a bit of a drama. The correct way to open it is not for Wang Zhurong to say to Lucia, "You are a good person, let's just be friends." Well, if you think about it carefully, Lucia is actually not bad. He is very tall. If he is stronger and can dress up better, he will be a natural clothes hanger. Not only will he be very popular when he is brought out, but he can also improve the genes of his offspring. This game is getting more and more interesting. I'm really looking forward to the next big adventure. I have to say, Lucia and Li Yuan, they are really brave. This time, everyone in the class should know them. Lucia took great courage to finish speaking, his face immediately turned red, and he was waiting nervously and expectantly for Wang Zhurong's reply. He was cheering himself up, saying to himself, the way to defeat fear is to face it head on. He has always been a little shy when facing girls and has a bit of gynophobia. This is also an attempt. If it works, it's better, but it doesn't matter if it doesn't work. Who says that if you like someone, you have to chase her? I like you and it has nothing to do with you. When he heard Wang Zhurong's affirmative reply, the smile on Lucia's face could no longer be held back, like 1,000 bright suns after bathing in the sun, and she felt so happy. Lucia looked at Li Yuan proudly and seemed to say, "Brother, my vision is not bad, right?" Li Yuan was also a little surprised. His sense of Wang Zhurong had changed. There seemed to be something about this sexy female classmate. Compared with her, green tea like Biwixi seems to be nothing. I don't know if Wang Zhurong is really satisfied with Lucia, or if he is just stocking fish in his own fish pond. Green tea fish farming also requires skills and levels. With his current level, he is not completely sure which type Wang Zhurong is. There are always some boys and girls who thought they were in a love relationship, but they didn't know that they had become a fish in someone else's pond without knowing it. My past life was like that. Lucia looked at Li Yuan with pride and winked at him. Li Yuan, it's your turn again. This time, you can only choose the big adventure. Are you ready? Li Yuan was panicked, wondering what questions Lucia would have for him. From the expression of Lucia, the old man, he must have bad intentions. Li Yuan was panicked, but he could only pretend to be calm on the surface. You ask the questions. Lucia smiled and said, the big adventure game begins. Now, I'll give you a chance. Take out an item from you. It doesn't matter what it is. It's better to have a commemorative meaning. Give it to a girl in our class. If the girl accepts it, it will be considered a success. Li Yuan glared, his eyes were a little unfriendly. Old six, you are playing with fire, do you know? I really want to give him a big slap in the face. Isn't this going to make him socially dead? If I had known that we would play truth or dare, I shouldn't have taken care of Lucia's face and didn't go on stage. No, I shouldn't have introduced this game when I was having dinner with Zhong Tingyu that day. It is conceivable that the truth or dare game will quickly become popular all over the country in the future. Because, playing this game seems to be able to achieve some unspeakable secrets at certain times. Lucia disagreed, You asked me to confess in public, can't I let you show it? We all grew up under the red flag, how can there be such a beautiful thing? Li Yuan, participating in this kind of game requires fairness and justice, and there are risks. If you don't want to do it, you can just admit defeat. Just swear in front of the whole class that you will call me Brother Jia and recognize me as the boss in the future. Li Yuan raised his eyebrows. This old six, who was tortured to death by him on the court, called adoptive father by him, is trying to sing songs when the serfs turn over. How could Li Yuan let him do what he wanted? Sixth brother, you underestimate me too much. Do you believe that I can definitely give it away? Lu Jie nodded with a smile, just looking at Li Yuan, waiting for his action. The students in the audience were also very curious about which girl Li Yuan would give the gift to. Zhou Tianyu laughed and said, I bet that Li Yuan will definitely give the gift to Xiang Qin Yang Kaiu. Wu Hao asked doubtfully, why? I feel that he will give it to Wang Zhirong. Wang Zhirong will definitely give Li Yuan a face and accept his gift. Su Ziqiang interrupted, hey, aren't you curious about what Li Yuan will give? Zhou Tianyu glanced at Su Ziqiang, does it matter what he gives? The key is to see who he gives it to and whether the girl will accept it. Do you understand? This is related to Li Yuan's future sexual life. The boys were eating melons and talking, and the girls were also looking forward to it, especially Xiang Qin Yang Kaiu, Wang Zhirong and other beautiful girls, who were extremely nervous. It was a feeling of anticipation, shyness, and fear. Li Yuan's image now is much better than when he just entered college in his previous life. Buddha relies on gold, and people rely on clothes. In short, men have to pretend. Fang Yani looked at the sexy classmate next to her, and said with some envy, Zhirong, I guess Li Yuan will definitely choose to give the gift to you. Wang Zhirong also nodded with a spring breeze in her eyes, if he really gives it to me, I will really give him a chance to pursue me and give him enough face in front of my classmates. If Li Yuan also chooses you, it will be even more interesting. Two men compete for one woman. I am looking forward to it. Fang Yani looked at Xiang Qin Yang Kaiu not far away. This female classmate has been eyeing the throne of class monitor since the day she reported as a freshman. She is also very beautiful. Although not as sexy and charming as Wang Zhirong, her appearance is still good. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. If the confession fails, chase her bestie. Author, Ren Shenkui Ken Ru Xiahua. Chapter 56. If I don't give it to you, it will be my classmate Xiang Tan Yang Kaiu. She is also very beautiful. She looks like Xiajia Biu, but she has a strong purpose. Wang Zhirong felt a little nervous. In her mind, among the other 23 girls in the class, she was the only one who could pose a threat to herself. Li Yuan, who will you choose? Chapter 63 Xia's Haijin, I'm just eating. Facing the expectations of the whole class, Li Yuan came back after being severely beaten by society for many years. His face was much thicker than before, and his face was a little hot. It's not because I was beaten, or because I was shy, it was just because of the heat. That's right, the weather in the Magic City was too hot. Li Yuan, act quickly. The whole class is watching. Otherwise, I will simply admit defeat and save you some dignity. Lu Jie crossed his arms and waited to see Li Yuan's actions. I'll make you see us. I'll let you use your physical strength to rub and torture me every day. This time I'll definitely make you sweat profusely. Come on, let's hurt each other. I really want to make you cry and sing decent in the future. Li Yuan saw Lu Jie's shameful face and secretly vowed to give him a big surprise when it was his turn. Li Yuan glanced at the instructor Qi Siyu, who was happily eating melon from the corner of his eye. She was not very old, in her mid-20s at most, sexy and mature. I touched my pockets and found that there was nothing else on my body except my mobile phone, keys, lighter, campus card, and a pack of cigarettes. There is nothing else I can give away except a lighter and a campus card. If he gives the campus card as a gift, he won't be able to use it himself. Then it can only be a lighter. Li Yuan took out his silver white Zippo lighter, which he bought for more than 800 yuan after coming to Shanghai. Putting his phone in his pocket, Li Yuan walked down the steps with a smile and walked toward the south of the classroom. Under the stage, the look of expectation in Xiang Yangkai's eyes dimmed instantly, and she also had some expectations in her heart that Li Yuan would choose to give the gift to herself. It's not to prove anything, it's purely a heartfelt expectation. Wow, sure enough, Li Yuan still chose Wang Zhirong. Li Yuan's vision is the same as ours. Wang Zhirong is so sexy and beautiful. If I could catch her, I would be willing to lose 10 years of my life. 10 years is less, at least 20 years. With her figure and looks, she can drain you dry in no time and shorten your life by another 10 years. It's only 20 years, I'm willing to. I saw a good show. Lu Jie just confessed his love to Wang Zhirong in the game of truth. Then Li Yuan turned around and gave a gift to Wang Zhirong in the game of dare. The two men chased each other. A woman, this must be a script, the performance is quite real. This plot is so bloody. If they hadn't filmed and staged it themselves, I would have stood on my head to wash my hair. Don't talk about washing your hair while standing on your head. It's useless even standing on your head to eat your hair. I fell in love with this game. I have to say that Li Yuan and Lu Jie successfully made the whole class know them. This sentence is quite good. In comparison, Zhou Tianyu's rap, Li Xiao's poetry, Ren Jun's hip-hop, and Xiang Yangkai's speech are nothing. In addition to the two warriors Lu Jie and Li Yuan, Wang Zhirong is also going to be popular. Based on her performance, she will definitely be the star of our computer class 1 in the future. When Fang Yani saw Li Yuan walking towards the direction where they were, she couldn't help but said with envy, "Zhirong, Li Yuan really chose you." Wang Zhirong also had a smile on his face, the corners of his mouth raised slightly, his seductive eyes staring closely at Li Yuan, feeling extremely proud. He is discerning and knows how to choose me. I fall in love with this kind of sportsman. I will give him a chance in the future. When he chases me, I should set less tests for him. Under the gaze of the whole class, Li Yuan walked step by step in the classroom, and the sound of footsteps echoed among the teachers. Wang Zhirong also stood up gracefully, without any shy expression like other girls, like a proud peacock, receiving the attention of the whole class. Li Yuan glanced at Wang Zhirong in confusion. What was she going to do when she stood up? She shouldn't think that she would give her a gift, right? It's funny, sitting in front of Wang Zhirong is a treasured girl who can be called Baiyu Guang, his ideal type. How could he choose an ordinary girl like Wang Zhirong? A white moonlight treasure girl like Xia's Haijin is the one he wants to give away. When Li Yuan came to the row where the treasure girl Xia's Haijin was, Wang Zhirong, who was sitting in the row behind Xia's Haijin, already spoke softly with a smile in her eyes, and her tone was a bit coquettish. "Li Yuan, what gift are you going to give me?" The questions Wang Zhirong asked were also the questions that other students were looking forward to. Li Yuan's family situation is generally known to the students in the class who are a little interested. Not necessarily the second generation, but probably a wealthy person. Whether it is clothing or food and clothing expenses, they are very casual and generous. He is also tall, handsome, and an athletic man. If you can fall in love with him in college, you will definitely have a lot of sex in the future. When Li Yuan makes a move, it will definitely be extraordinary. I just don't know what he will give. The game he played with Lu Jie should have been communicated in advance and there was a script, so he should be prepared. That goes without saying, otherwise wouldn't it be a pure fool to play this kind of game in front of the whole class? I guess there must be a small gift in Li Yuan's pocket, probably a ring, earrings, jewelry, etc. The gift is of high quality and can be presented. You think, Lucia and Li Yuan played this game just for this moment, to pursue Wang Zhirong. This, it's not impossible, but it's only the 4th day of school, and they are ready to take action. This speed is too fast. I even met the girls in my class today. If you want to fall in love, you have to start early. But, grandma's legs, they started too early. Early, there are a lot of high school students in love now, including junior high school students. I feel that it can be cultivated from elementary school. I'm sure that Li Yuan and Lucia must have been in love in high school. No way, can you get into Xia University by falling in love? Haha, which guy said that falling in love will only affect study? I really want to beat him to death. Li Yuan looked at Wang Zhirong, who was full of expectations, strangely, wondering if his next words would cause her psychological trauma. I'm sorry, classmate Wang, although you are beautiful, generous, and sexy. But, I want to give my gift to this girl. Under the uproar of the whole class and Wang Zhirong's dull eyes, Li Yuan pushed away the chair next to Xia's Haijin, walked in front of her, and spoke gently. Classmate Xia's Haijin, can you do me a favor? Xia's Haijin, who was eating melons, was stunned. She raised her head slightly, glanced at Li Yuan, and instantly buried her head lower in shyness. The cheeks that were not covered by her hair and her snow-white neck were already red. She was confused in her heart, just wanting to be a silent spectator eating melons. How come this melon was eaten on her head? What should I do? How to answer? Xia's Haijin's little head was full of entanglement at this moment. She had never encountered such a situation since she was born. Wu Hao, Zhou Tianyu, and others were shocked by Li Yuan's coquettish operation. Wang Zhirong, the class flower, had already stood up and asked actively, but he chose an ordinary girl in a blink of an eye. This kind of operation can also be played? I can only shout, 666,666. Damn, the person Li Yuan wants to send is Xia's Haijin, but who is this Xia's Haijin? I don't have much impression. She seems to be quite tall, and from the accent, she seems to be from Sichuan and Chongqing. Look at Wang Zhirong's eyes, she looks unbelievable, staring with big eyes, looking at her face up and down. Li Yuan's coquettish operation will be remembered by her for the rest of her life. If it were me, I would also remember it for the rest of my life. It's so shameful. I have to take a detour when I see Li Yuan in the future. This is too embarrassing. Stop talking, our class flower classmate seems to be really angry. Wang Zhirong was really furious. She never thought that Li Yuan would do this. She stood up, enjoying the envious eyes of the whole class, and looking forward to what gift Li Yuan would give her, but Li Yuan turned around and chose someone else. If it was a beauty like Qin Yangkai who was not inferior to her in appearance, it would be fine, but she lost to an ordinary girl. Xia's Haijin, who is she? How could she, who was as proud as a swan, bear this? Li Yuan, what do you mean? Chapter 64, If you don't know how to play tricks, what kind of girl are you chasing after? Wang Zhirong's beautiful eyes were wide open, as if they were about to spit out fire, and her voice was trembling violently. Anyone could feel her anger, dissatisfaction, and resentment. But Li Yuan didn't bother to pay attention to her. He still stood beside Xia's Haijin, looking at this treasure girl who was trembling with tension, and said gently, Xia's Haijin, are you listening? Are you willing to help me? Xia's Haijin's little head that had been down for a while was revived at this moment. She turned on the computer again, and shyly looked up at Li Yuan. Facing Li Yuan's gentle gaze, her heart began to beat unsuccessfully, and she stammered. Li Yuan, how can I help you? If the confession fails, chase her bestie. Author, Ren Shenkui Kan Ru Xia Hua. Chapter 57. Listening to the clear and crisp sound like big beads falling on a jade plate, and the pure and shy young face, Li Yuan's eyes were in a trance. He took out the silver-white Zippo lighter from his pocket and prepared to hand it to Xiao's Haijin. He tried to speak in a relaxed tone to reduce Xiao's Haijin's defensiveness. Classmate Xiao's Haijin, after getting to know you, I am going to change my ways and quit smoking. Can you help me keep this lighter? After saying that, he sent the lighter to Xiao's Haijin and waited for her answer. Xiao's Haijin's head was still a little confused. As kind as she was, she couldn't help but glance at Li Yuan secretly. She had a pair of white and slender little hands, tightly grasping the sleeves, not knowing whether to pick it up or not. Seeing this, Li Yuan felt confident in his heart and continued to speak. Classmate Xiao's Haijin, you don't want to see a good young man sink deeper and deeper into becoming a smoker, right? Xiao's Haijin nodded subconsciously and said yes softly. Her little hands were still pinching the corners of her clothes, not daring to look at him at all. Li Yuan's heart was beating fast, and he made a bold move. He stretched out his right hand, grabbed Xiao's Haijin's little hand with lightning speed, put the lighter into her hand, and reminded. Classmate Xia, keep it safe for me. Whether I can successfully quit smoking in the future depends entirely on you. Xiao's Haijin was stunned by Li Yuan's boldness. Her beautiful face, so bright and red, made people full of protective desire, and her little head was buried even lower. She was holding the lighter given by Li Yuan in her hand, standing blankly and at a loss, looking at Li Yuan with toothache at the corner of his mouth. Classmate Xia, keep it safe for me. Li Yuan nodded with satisfaction. This kind of cute, sensible, and beautiful girl is his favorite. He looked back at Wang Zhirong, who was already furious, and apologized. Classmate Wang Zhirong, I think you may have misunderstood. Wang Zhirong was still angry and glared at Li Yuan angrily. Li Yuan, do you want to attract me in this way? This is really unmanly. Li Yuan glanced at Wang Zhirong speechlessly and thought to himself, at any time, there is no shortage of people who think highly of themselves and feel good about themselves. The classmates in the class ate this big melon, and their laughter and discussion made the classroom more noisy. Oh my God, Li Yuan really gave a gift to Xiao's Haijin. This excuse is too creative. He said he wanted to quit smoking and help keep the lighter. It's a shame he could come up with such an excuse. My jaw dropped in shock. I've been playing ball with Li Yuan these days, and he seems to know how to smoke. I saw that silver lighter that he used. It's from Zippo, and it's worth several hundred yuan more. Li Yuan doesn't know how to be serious. He really wants to chase girls, and he also wants to chase beautiful girls like Wang Zhirong and Xiangtan Yangkaiu, who are class stars. Why are he chasing Xiao's Haijin? Perhaps we have all subconsciously ignored Xiao's Haijin? She is quite tall and has very black and shiny hair. However, she is dressed very simply and keeps her head down. She cannot see her face clearly. Maybe she is really beautiful. Qi Siyu stood on the podium, very close to Xiao's Haijin in the front row. When Xiao's Haijin raised her head several times, her extremely pure face also made her unexpectedly stunning and she was in a trance. She couldn't help but look at Xiao's Haijin a few more times, and then looked at Li Yuan who was using funny excuses to show his courtesy, and murmured to herself. This Li Yuan is really discerning. He found this most beautiful girl among so many girls at once. Li Yuan is smooth-tongued and has a good figure and good looks. This simple little girl may not be able to escape his clutches. Li Yuan heard the comments from other students in the class, but he didn't take them seriously at all. Seeing that Xiao's Haijin had sat down stupidly and was in a daze on his seat, he smiled, returned to the podium, glanced at the stunned Lucia, and suddenly lost interest in continuing to perform with him. In this freshman class meeting, his goal has been achieved. He has initially established a connection with Xiao's Haijin, the treasured moonlight girl. Isn't it better than anything else? Li Yuan said directly, Lucia, please continue to show yourself, I won't play with you anymore. Lucia's eyes were dull. Li Yuan won the second round, so he let him go so easily. Li Yuan, are you sure you don't want to play anymore? It's your turn to ask questions. Li Yuan nodded, glanced at the whole class, and said with a smile, I have wasted your time, classmates. Let us return the stage to Teacher Qi. After saying that, he walked straight off the podium and returned to his seat. When Lucia saw Li Yuan leaving, he scratched his head in embarrassment, hurriedly handed the microphone back to Qi Siyu, and returned to his seat. As Li Yuan and Lucia finished their last performance, the computer-like self-introduction at the first freshman class meeting left only the last step. Everyone, after the self-introduction just now, you all know each other. Next, we will raise our hands to vote for the acting monitor. The morning class meeting ended quickly, and Zhou Tianyu failed in the end. The acting class leader was narrowly defeated by Xiang Tan Yang Kaiu, a little beauty. And the voting situation is also very interesting. Zhou Tianyu received more female votes, while Xiang Tan Yang Kaiu received most of the male votes. Li Yuan can only say one thing, no matter men or women, they are all gorgeous. Li Yuan, that Xia's Haijin is leaving, do you want to follow? Lucia still hasn't figured out why Li Yuan chose Xia's Haijin, an ordinary girl, instead of the sexy and beautiful Wang Zhirong. Li Yuan glared at him and didn't bother to pay attention to him. If it weren't for his bad idea today, he wouldn't be so socially dead. Now, not only did he get familiar with other classmates in the class, but he also offended Wang Zhirong, a narcissistic girl. You guys go first, I have something to do. Lucia showed an expression of as expected and patted his shoulder, come on, we'll wait for your good news. Wu Hao also showed a curious look and asked, Li Yuan, is Xia's Haijin really that beautiful? More beautiful than Zhong Tingyu and the Hanfa beauty that day. Li Yuan said lightly, don't talk nonsense, you will know later. Xia's Haijin was putting the book into the school bag, and the blush on her face had not completely faded. Shenziu, the roommate beside her, asked, Zijin, will you go to the cafeteria with us today? Xia's Haijin shook her head subconsciously, you go first, I'm not that hungry yet. Shenziu, who was rejected, has become accustomed to it. In the past few days since she met Xia's Haijin, she has always been like this. She never went out to eat or hang out with other roommates. She was alone and didn't know what she was doing all day. Shenziu was about to leave, and suddenly she saw Li Yuan coming over. She looked at the beautiful roommate beside her with a half smile. Zijin, so you are waiting for a handsome guy, I won't bother you, bye. Dear readers, please read and vote for me. Chapter 65 I want to work part-time. Xia's Haijin looked up quietly and saw Li Yuan had come to her side. Her jade-white cheeks turned red again. Classmate Xia, let's go eat together. Li Yuan's eyes fell on Xia's Haijin's shy face, and the corners of his mouth rose slightly. This treasure girl is so shy. This youthful and shy look can greatly stimulate men's desire to protect and sympathize. Especially for a middle-aged old man like him. Xia's Haijin lowered his head and didn't dare to look at Li Yuan at all. He just stood there blankly, not knowing whether to leave or not. I'm not hungry. Not hungry? It's already noon, it's time for lunch, Li Yuan said strangely. Today you helped me a favor and didn't let me embarrass myself in front of the whole class. You are so kind, you shouldn't refuse my thanks, right? Xia's Haijin looked at Li Yuan blankly, still shook his head firmly, and said in a voice as low as a mosquito, no need to thank. At this time, there was no one in the classroom, only Li Yuan and Xia's Haijin were in the classroom. Li Yuan pulled out a stool and sat down directly next to Xia's Haijin. Xia's Haijin's body trembled, as if she was a little afraid that Li Yuan would mess around again, and asked in a trembling voice, what are you going to do? Li Yuan still smiled as before. I suddenly remembered that I'm not very hungry, so I'll stay here to read with you. Oh, Xia's Haijin said softly, and a complex look flashed in her eyes. For a moment, she didn't know what to say. Xia classmate, why did you apply for computer major in the first place? Li Yuan asked curiously, and also took the initiative to find a topic to chat. He has discovered that Xia's Haijin is the kind of extremely timid and shy girl. If he doesn't take the initiative, the other party won't take the initiative to say a word for a long time. Xia's Haijin shyly replied, I was transferred. Transfer? Li Yuan was stunned, and felt that this was really possible. Xia University's computer major is not very popular. Although it is a 985 university, it is also a 985 normal university after all. What did you originally apply for? I applied for Chinese, and I want to be a teacher. So you don't like computer science? No, I don't know how to use computers. Xia, can you add your mobile phone number and QQ number? Oh, sorry, I don't have one. Li Yuan was stunned again, looking at Xia's Haijin's somewhat helpless expression. A flash of inspiration flashed in his mind, and he seemed to understand why she didn't eat with other students and why she always kept her head down. Looking at her, Li Yuan couldn't help but think of the stories reported in his previous life, such as Kinsei to students that were disclosed. In 2008, some poor college students, especially female college students, really paid too much. Li Yuan felt a little blocked in his heart. Looking at the treasure girl who kept her head down in front of him, he felt very distressed. If the confession fails, chase her bestie. Author, Ren Shenkui Ken Ru Xiahua. Chapter 58. She obviously has a beauty that is not inferior to any star, but she can only walk and live with her head down, and dare not show her beautiful side in front of her classmates. She is 18 years old, the most beautiful age, but she can only hide in the dark. If she is willing to show herself, the so-called class beauties such as Wang Zhirong and Xiang Qin Yangkaiu are all scum, and cannot be compared at all. Li Yuan's voice became more and more gentle, and he took the initiative to find a topic. Xia classmate, are you from Shancheng? I heard that it is a very beautiful place with beautiful mountains and rivers and beautiful people. Can you introduce it to me? Xia's Haijin stared at Li Yuan blankly, not knowing how to start. She was afraid of being alone with boys, although Li Yuan acted very gentle. Xia's Haijin opened her mouth, hesitating to speak, feeling a little impolite. I have something else to do, I have to go. Li Yuan stood up with a smile on his face. Okay, I'll go with you. Xia's Haijin stood up silently with her old schoolbag on her back, lowered her head and walked on the campus, while Li Yuan followed her slowly, saying a few words to her from time to time. However, it was mostly Li Yuan who was talking. Xia's Haijin was listening silently, occasionally answering a few words, and deliberately keeping a distance from Li Yuan, not daring to get too close. The ideological and political building is far away from the cafeteria, nearly 500 meters away, and the two walked side by side. When they were about to reach the cafeteria, Xia's Haijin suddenly stopped and whispered. Li Yuan, can you stop following me? Li Yuan was stunned. He never expected that after his rebirth, there would be a day when he would be disliked by others. Li Yuan frowned slightly. Do you hate me? Xia's Haijin shook her head quickly and explained, no, I don't hate you. Li Yuan was even more confused. Then why don't you let me follow you? Xia's Haijin's face became more shy, and she buried her head even lower, clutching the corner of her coat, and her voice was so low that it was inaudible. I want to go to work part-time. Li Yuan's hearing was very good, and he heard Xia's Haijin's whispers clearly. If Lucio was here, he would definitely not hear it. Li Yuan glanced at the school cafeteria in front of him, and everything was understood in an instant. She said not hungry because she was short of money and needed to work part-time in the cafeteria. And it is conceivable what kind of work she can do as a part-time worker in the school cafeteria, nothing more than wiping the table, washing dishes, and chopsticks. Other college students would avoid this kind of work. Such a beautiful treasure girl should not have touched the water of spring. As for Xia's Haijin, she had to work part-time in the cafeteria to support herself as soon as she entered the university campus. It was heartbreaking to think about it. Li Yuan was about to say, "I have money, I will support you," but he swallowed it back secretly. He dared to guarantee that as long as he said this, he and this treasure girl in front of him would never meet again in this life. Li Yuan said in a hoarse voice, "Then go." After hearing Li Yuan's words, Xia's Haijin was obviously relieved, and her voice regained some vitality. "Then, goodbye. See you later." Li Yuan smiled and said. Xia's Haijin didn't understand what Li Yuan meant by "see you later." She looked up at Li Yuan again and walked towards the cafeteria alone. Li Yuan felt a little choked up in his heart, and even his appetite for food disappeared without a trace. He was thinking about a question in his mind. How can I help her? Let her accept my help with peace of mind. Xia's Haijin is obviously a girl with low self-esteem but a very strong character. Facing such a girl, it is meaningless to use money directly. Because, with her fairy face, if she succumbs to money, it is too easy to get money, as long as she is willing to give up her dignity. Li Yuan understands that giving her money is not helping her, but insulting her. You must think of a good idea to help her without hurting her self-esteem. I may only meet this kind of treasure girl once in my life. If you miss this village, there will be no such store. What should I do? Li Yuan did not go back to the dormitory directly. He followed Xia's Haijin from a distance and watched her walk into the back door of the cafeteria. After doing the work, he confirmed his idea. After buying a bottle of Fanta, Li Yuan found a seat in the cafeteria and thought about how to help Xia's Haijin, a treasure girl, and walk into her heart by the way. While waiting, Li Yuan casually browsed the information on his mobile phone. In the past few days, the rich young woman Zhang Ziyu would send him messages every morning, noon, and evening, sharing interesting things in her life, chatting about some music and novel plots. If you don't know, you would really think that he is his boyfriend. In addition to chatting with Zhang Ziyu frequently, Li Yuan also occasionally chatted with Zhong Tingyu. It was just a very simple chat, and there was no ambiguity. In Zhong Tingyu's heart, she was probably still confused, which old classmate of hers was she? Time soon came to about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and Li Yuan finally waited for Xia's Haijin to come out after work. "Xia classmate, we meet again." Li Yuan stepped forward and greeted with a smile. Xia's Haijin was stunned. Li Yuan, you didn't leave." Chapter 66 Classmates Haijin, be good, open your mouth, please read it again. "I'm still waiting for you to have dinner together, how can I leave?" Li Yuan answered as a matter of course, without feeling ashamed at all. Just as Xia's Haijin was about to refuse, she heard Li Yuan pretending to be pitiful and said, "Xia's Haijin, you have already rejected me once. You won't reject me again, will you?" Seeing Li Yuan's pitiful appearance, Xia's Haijin chuckled, as bright as the spring sun, which stunned Li Yuan. Realizing that something was wrong, Xia's Haijin immediately lowered her head quickly, her face full of blush. Li Yuan came back to his senses, and his heart was full of aftertaste. Xia's Haijin was really pure to the point of explosion, especially when she smiled, she was even more lovely. "Haijin, you are from Shancheng, you should be able to eat spicy food, right?" Xia's Haijin did not realize that Li Yuan had inadvertently brought the two closer. "Yes, I can eat spicy food." Li Yuan said excitedly, "That's great, I like spicy food too, I like Sichuan cuisine the most, today I want to compete with you to see who can eat spicier food." Xia's Haijin wanted to refuse, but she didn't know how to say it. Li Yuan had been waiting for her at the door for more than an hour. She could only accept Li Yuan's arrangement silently. Li Yuan led the way, and Xia's Haijin followed closely, very nervously, and came to the second cafeteria. This cafeteria is where Li Yuan and Zhong Tingyu, Su Tingro, Ding Shanshan and other girls had dinner together a few days ago. The second cafeteria is open for a long time, mainly serving various local specialties. It is considered a high-end restaurant in the school. Boss, 1 twice-cooked pork, 1 boiled pork slices, 1 mapo tofu, spicy. Another Westlake beef soup, 2 bowls of rice, and a bottle of juice. Xia's Haijin was panicked when she saw Li Yuan ordered so much at once, and hurriedly said, "Li Yuan, I can't eat so much." Li Yuan chuckled, "Haijin, well, I may be more of a eater, so I didn't order much. Let's sit down, do you want to sit next to me or sit opposite me?" Xia's Haijin's body trembled, as if she was frightened, fearing that Li Yuan would pull her directly to sit next to him, so she obediently sat opposite Li Yuan. Seeing her frightened look, Li Yuan didn't dare to rush, that would only backfire. "Haijin, I want to ask you for a favor, I wonder if you are willing." When Xia's Haijin heard Li Yuan asking her for help, she subconsciously thought of the incident in the freshman class meeting in the morning when Li Yuan asked her to help keep the lighter. She took out the silver white Zippo lighter from her pocket and wanted to hand it to Li Yuan. Li Yuan, your lighter." Seeing this, Li Yuan pretended to be dissatisfied and said, "Xia's Haijin, you just promised me that you would help me quit smoking. You can't go back on your word." I didn't, I just wanted to give it back to you," Xia's Haijin said with red cheeks. Li Yuan asked back, "But, if you give it to me, I can smoke, how can I quit smoking?" Xia's Haijin always felt that something was wrong. For a moment, she was so nervous that she forgot how to refute. Li Yuan struck while the iron was hot and continued, "So, Haijin, can you keep it for me? I really want to quit smoking. Excessive smoking can easily cause cancer. You don't want me to die young, do you? Well, then okay." Xia's Haijin always felt that she seemed to have missed something. You want me to help you with something." Li Yuan had already thought of a plan in his mind. This was his business plan, and it could also help Xia's Haijin and give her help. "It's like this. I set up a company before, and I want to ask you to come to my company to work part-time. I wonder if you are willing." Xia's Haijin stared at Li Yuan blankly. They were both freshmen, and he had already set up a company. And I was still worrying about 3 meals a day. "Why, you don't want to?" Li Yuan asked nervously. Xia's Haijin quickly explained, No, it's not. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. If the confession fails, chase her bestie. Author, Ren Shenkui Kan Ru Xiahua. Chapter 59. I don't know what your company does. I'm stupid. I don't know anything except reading. I'm afraid I won't be able to help you. Li Yuan breathed a sigh of relief and explained with a smile, "My company is a technology company. It has not yet officially started operations. It is currently being renovated. It will be officially launched after the military training is over. As for the work content, classmate Xia's Haijin, you are a top student of 985 University. You will definitely learn it as soon as you learn it. The work is very simple. When we finish eating later, I will take you to our company for a tour. You are so kind, you won't even refuse my request, right? I hope you can help me." Xia's Haijin glanced at Li Yuan with her clear watery eyes and nodded gently. Seeing Xia's Haijin's innocent look, Li Yuan couldn't help but feel very interesting. "Why don't you ask about the part-time salary, benefits, etc., aren't you afraid that I will trick you? Xia's Haijin replied obediently, I believe you. Believe me, Li Yuan smiled and asked curiously, aren't you afraid that I'm lying to you? Xia's Haijin did not answer immediately, but thought for a while before answering. You are a good person. Li Yuan was confused. Are you going to give me a good guy card now? Should I thank her or should I thank her? It's strange to say that he was never given a good guy card in his previous life. After being reborn in this life, after becoming a multimillionaire, he had already been given a good guy card by two beautiful women as soon as he entered the university campus. First it was Zhong Tingyu, then Xia's Haijin. Could it be that in this life, I am destined to be with a good person? Li Yuan stared directly at Xia's Haijin, classmates Haijin, I may not be a good person. I may have an ulterior motive to get close to you. Xia's Haijin's face turned red and she buried her head. Her body was trembling, as if she was frightened by Li Yuan's words. In fact, she is not stupid, but she doesn't often interact with people, especially boys. When Li Yuan saw this, he couldn't help but laugh, looking at how scared you are, I can still eat you. The food is here. Let's eat. Our stomachs are already growling because we're hungry. Xia's Haijin still buried her head, not daring to look at Li Yuan again. Here you are, chopsticks and a spoon. Don't keep your head down. At this point, there is no one else in the restaurant. Only I can appreciate your appearance. Xia's Haijin remained shy and took the disposable chopsticks handed over by Li Yuan, still indifferent. When Li Yuan saw this, he thought that this treasured girl was too timid and shy. He directly used his chopsticks to pick up a piece of twice-cooked pork for her and brought it to her mouth. He, I understand. It turns out you are waiting for me to feed you. Come on, classmates Haijin, try to see if the Sichuan food cooked in the school cafeteria is authentic enough. Xia's Haijin's face turned red with embarrassment due to Li Yuan's intimate actions. She stared at Li Yuan in disbelief, looking overly frightened. Li Yuan smiled and said, Haijin, be good and open your mouth. Xia's Haijin seemed to be under a restraining spell, just staring at Li Yuan blankly, her mouth tightly closed. Li Yuan coughed lightly, ahem, Haijin, open your mouth quickly, my hands are almost numb. Xia's Haijin seemed to wake up suddenly, with a trace of tears flashing in her eyes. She didn't know whether it was due to surprise or fright. Under the coercion of Li Yuan's gaze, Xia's Haijin gently opened her mouth. Yes, this is better. Li Yuan was extremely satisfied. Do you want me to continue feeding you? Xia's Haijin shook her head in fright, quickly picked up the chopsticks, lowered her head, and picked up the rice. Li Yuan did not continue teasing Xia's Haijin. She was almost crying. As a girl born in Sichuan and Chongqing, she was certainly not the type to cry. Li Yuan was also very hungry. After he was reborn, he was very good at eating. Xia's Haijin was chewing slowly, while Li Yuan was devouring it. Li Yuan saw that Xia's Haijin was just eating rice. Haijin, why do you only eat rice and no vegetables? Is it not to your liking? I think it tastes okay. It's so spicy that it makes me squirt. I don't like eating vegetables. Xia's Haijin's voice was very low. Li Yuan didn't say much, just used his chopsticks to pick vegetables into her bowl. Boiled pork slices, a specialty of Sichuan cuisine. It's very spicy. I think it's quite authentic. Try it. Mapo tofu only has spicy flavor. I feel it lacks a bit of numbness and is not authentic enough. I should add some chopped green onion. The twice-cooked pork tastes okay, and the bean paste tastes very good. Xia's Haijin looked at the bowl full of vegetables, lowered her head, and shed tears. Chapter 67 I will be the boss and you will be the secretary, please follow up. Seeing Xia's Haijin suddenly cry, Li Yuan quickly stopped his chopsticks and handed her some toilet paper. Li Yuan asked nervously, classmates Haijin, don't cry. I didn't mean to bully you. The big tears in Xia's Haijin's eyes were like broken raindrops, falling into the bowl. She buried her head, and she didn't even dare to cry too loudly, trying to suppress herself. Li Yuan's heart was broken. Looking at Xia's Haijin who was crying softly, he suddenly felt guilty. This treasure girl is a kind-hearted but timid and shy girl, and he even forced to feed her. Classmates Haijin, please stop crying. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have forced you to do anything. Xia's Haijin raised his forehead, glanced at Li Yuan, and said in a very soft voice, I didn't, it's your fault. Li Yuan was relieved. I'm glad you didn't blame me, otherwise I would feel guilty for the rest of my life if you cried. Eat quickly, you should be hungry. Li Yuan enjoyed the meal very much. With Xia's Haijin, a pure girl with a fairy-like appearance, beside him, his appetite was particularly increased. Xia's Haijin's cheeks flushed, and she said shyly, I'm full. Li Yuan smiled. He liked her pure look, but unfortunately the pixel of the phone was not good, so he couldn't take a picture of the scene at any time as a souvenir. Then drink some juice first, I'm not full yet. Well, eat slowly, I'm not in a hurry. Xia's Haijin took a sip of juice, lowered her head, occasionally looked at Li Yuan in panic, and then quickly lowered her head. After a while, Li Yuan was full. After eating and drinking, start working. Haijin classmate, come with me to see our company. Well. Xia's Haijin looked a little hesitant, but finally nodded slightly. In the afternoon, there are more students on the campus. Tomorrow, the military training will be formally held, and this afternoon is the last time. Xia's Haijin walked on the road, always with her head down, pinching the corner of her clothes, not daring to look at Li Yuan, nor dare to get close. Haijin, did you rarely communicate with boys before? Li Yuan asked curiously. Xia's Haijin was too shy. In front of him, she was like a bullied little wife. Xia's Haijin nodded, and her voice was very low, yeah. Li Yuan was more looking forward to it. This kind of treasure girl was his ideal type. My company is only about 2 kilometers away from our school. We can get there quickly by taking a taxi. Xia's Haijin was also looking forward to Li Yuan's company. Occasionally, she looked up and looked at Li Yuan with a hint of inexplicable color in her eyes. She had never experienced this feeling of being cared for and valued. Li Yuan called a taxi, and the two ran directly to the location of the Longjia building where the office building was located. Longjia building is a commercial office building with complete facilities, water, electricity, gas, etc., and the interior has been renovated. He only needs to do a simple decoration layout. The office building that Li Yuan bought is located on the 23rd floor of Longjia building, with a total area of more than 2,000 square meters, occupying a small half of the 23rd floor. Along the way, Xia's Haijin was very nervous and followed Li Yuan closely, looking at the various urban white-collar workers in this building. Li Yuan took the magnetic card, swiped the card access control, and entered the Datang Technology company that was being renovated. The decoration company is renovating and upgrading the circuits and some office equipment. Li Yuan started his first business. Because of the tight funds, he didn't want to invest too much in decoration. It was just a simple decoration with the basic office conditions of a company. This is where our company is located. It is being renovated. It will take at least half a month to officially open for business. Li Yuan smiled and introduced Xia's Haijin, who was curious to visit. If the confession fails, chase her bestie. Author, Ren Shenkui Kan Ru Xiahua. Chapter 60. Coincidentally, Manager Wang, the person in charge of the decoration company, was also there today. When he saw Li Yuan coming to inspect, he hurried over to say hello. Mr. Li, you are here. We are carrying out the construction according to the progress of the project. Li Yuan nodded, with a serious look on his face. Manager Wang, you must pay attention to the quality of the construction. If the acceptance is not qualified, I will not pay. Manager Wang swore, please rest assured, Mr. Li, our Yunjing Decoration Company is based on customer satisfaction and will definitely not delay you. Li Yuan smiled and said nothing more. He paid the money with one hand and worked with the other hand. He had a contract and was not afraid of the decoration company cheating. Manager Wang, go and do your work. I'll take a look. After visiting the future company, Li Yuan asked directly in the elevator. Zijin, the company is still under decoration. Are you willing to help me? I need your help. After seeing Li Yuan's company, Xia Zijin looked more restrained. Although she had just arrived from a distant mountain city and didn't know much about the magic city, she still knew something about the housing prices in this international metropolis, one of the best in China. Each square meter costs at least nearly 10,000 yuan. In other words, Li Yuan in front of her was a genuine multi-millionaire. This tall and handsome boy was her college classmate. He was the boy who gave her a lighter in class, fed her food forcefully in the cafeteria, looked a little handsome, but a little bad, and scared her. Xia Zijin, who was already inferior, felt even more inferior when she thought of this, and at the same time she was a little worried. She knew that she was very beautiful, so whether in high school or in college, she deliberately hid herself and walked with her head down. Only in this way, an ordinary girl like her from a poor family would not be coveted by those bad guys, and she could have some sense of security. However, Xia Zijin secretly glanced at Li Yuan with her peripheral vision, and sighed in her heart, she was still being targeted. Even though this person is her college classmate, not one of those bad guys in society. Li Yuan, I don't know anything, I'm afraid I can't help you. Xia Zijin spoke in a low voice. She was a little afraid of rich kids like Li Yuan. Even though she hadn't met him in person, she had heard of many rich kids who played around with feelings and then abandoned them. Li Yuan didn't notice Xia Zijin's mood change, and still said with a smile, Zijin, in fact, I don't know anything, but we can learn together. You are so smart, as long as you study hard, you will definitely be able to do it. Xia Zijin hesitated and asked in a low voice, but, what can I do for you now? Li Yuan had already thought of the arrangement for Xia Zijin in his mind, so he said directly, from now on, you are our company's administrative secretary. Xia Zijin, knowing nothing about the so-called administrative secretary, he continued to ask in a low voice, administrative secretary? What do I usually do? The job is very simple. After the company is officially running, help me answer the phone, convey documents, arrange itineraries, write speeches, report summary materials, etc. In short, just follow me in the future. You do whatever I tell you to do. In our company, I am the boss and you are the second. Li Yuan thought to himself, I will be the boss in the future and you will be the secretary. The secretary will do it when there is something to do, and nothing else. Readers, please read the latest chapter and give some support to the new author. Chapter 68, The Usual Routine of the Scumbag. Please read. Then what should I do now? Xia Zijin looked silly and cute. Obviously, she did not understand what the underlying meaning of Li Yuan's words was. Seeing Xia Zijin's silly look, Li Yuan liked her even more in his heart. This kind of obedient appearance is the ideal treasure girl. 10 times better than the green tea girl by Yueguang who makes him angry, sad, and upset every day. Li Yuan said domineeringly, Student Zijin, do you agree to work part-time in my company? Yes, Xia Zijin nodded shyly. She knew in her heart that even if she didn't agree, she might not be able to escape his clutches. The first time Li Yuan saw her, in front of all the classmates and teachers, he gave up the class flower Wang Zhurong and chose her. He also waited for her for 2 hours in the school cafeteria just to take her to eat. With such a domineering and decisive character, what can an ordinary girl like her do? Seeing Xia's Haijin agreed, Li Yuan was very happy. Once you get on my ship, you can't run away in the future. Li Yuan smiled at Xia's Haijin, who was shyly lowering her head. Our company is initially set up, and we still need to buy some office supplies. Come with me to buy them now. There is a large complex shopping mall under this Longjia building. We can walk there. Xia's Haijin nodded cutely. I will listen to you. Students Haijin, you get into the role very quickly, then let's go. Li Yuan smiled. This feeling is very interesting. Li Yuan is quite familiar with the surrounding area. As an international metropolis, even in 2008, the Magic City has been highly developed. Everything you can imagine can basically be bought in the Magic City. Li Yuan walked in front, and Xia's Haijin followed him closely like a little follower, never leaving. She was very afraid of getting lost. From childhood to adulthood, she rarely left school and her home. In a place like a shopping mall, with all kinds of colorful shops and advertising signs, it is extremely easy to get lost. Li Yuan saw that she was nervous and very curious, and he found her very interesting when she occasionally raised her head to peek. If she hadn't been teasing her, she would have cried easily, and the high and low levels would have challenged her nerves a few more times. When passing by a milk tea shop called Shanghai Sweet, Li Yuan stopped and asked, "Haijin, are you thirsty? Some milk tea or coffee?" Xia's Haijin waved her hands quickly and said softly, "I'm not thirsty. There is water in my backpack." Li Yuan knew what she was worried about. He went directly to the milk tea shop and looked at the types of milk tea on it. They were all ordinary milk tea. The milk tea brand at this time had just been born and belonged to an emerging market. Many well-known milk tea brands in later generations had not yet been established. Compared with a cup of milk tea that will cost 20 or 30 yuan in the future, the milk tea at this time is still relatively cheap. It would be good to establish a milk tea catering brand. We just need to develop more new milk teas like those of later generations, make the milk tea shop a little taller, and then carry out various commercial promotions, such as the selection of milk tea sisters and the first cup of autumn milk tea, etc. Once you become famous, you can quickly attract money. Li Yuan was planning a blueprint in his mind. Milk tea, coffee, and other catering brands will remain popular in the future. Even in a small 6th-tier county, the streets and alleys are filled with milk tea shops of various brands. Don't look down on small milk tea shops, this is a pure profit-making industry. This is also a good business opportunity. Write it down first and ask secretaries Haijin to make a plan when you go back. Li Yuan ordered a cup of Shaoxianko and a cup of coconut milk tea. 2 cups of milk tea together cost only 10 yuan. Haijin, which one do you drink? Li Yuan placed 2 kinds of milk tea in front of Xia's Haijin and asked her to choose. I'm not thirsty. Xia's Haijin did not expect that Li Yuan would buy 2 cups directly. A cup of milk tea costs 5 yuan, which is enough for her food expenses for a day. You've already bought it? If you don't drink it, wouldn't it be wasted? Li Yuan put the burning grass jelly in front of her with a straw, and said with a serious look on his face, "This is the boss's order, you must drink it." Xia's Haijin took the milk tea with a trembling body. "Okay, boss." Seeing that she was holding the milk tea in her hand but not drinking it, Li Yuan felt extremely helpless and could only display his majesty as a boss again. "Haijin, don't you listen to me? If you don't drink it, it will get cold and you will throw it away." After Li Yuan finished speaking, he had already started to drink his own cup. The milk tea at this time was indeed not as good as the later one, and it tasted weird. Under Li Yuan's gaze, Xia's Haijin lowered her head with flushed cheeks. Not knowing what she was thinking, she opened her lips slightly and took a sip of milk tea. Li Yuan asked, "Does it taste good?" Xia's Haijin replied shyly, It tastes good. First time drinking. In the future, you can drink milk tea whenever you want. Set a small goal first to achieve the freedom of milk tea. But, this is too expensive. Li Yuan opened his mouth, wanting to say something, but in the end he said nothing, but a certain idea in his heart became more firm. This treasure girl will be protected by him from now on, and no one can take her away from him. Li Yuan was fascinated by what he saw and was a little stunned. Xia's Haijin glanced at Li Yuan secretly several times, and her flawless cheeks and jade-white neck were quietly stained with a blush. After a long while, he spoke with a slightly embarrassed tone. Li Yuan, can you please stop staring at me all the time? Li Yuan replied subconsciously, who made you so beautiful? I can't get enough of you.